Hi Virgo, it's Romy here. Welcome to my channel and happy solar returns. This is your September 2021 soul story. So I hope this finds you well. Let's take a look in and see what insights we're going to bring forth for the month ahead. So we're opening up the energy for September, Virgo, with the Magician. And you really are aware, I think, of something that's making its way towards you. And there's this aspect of preparing oneself. We talked about this a little bit through August's soul story. But there's a spontaneity that comes forth with the Magician, an ability to be able to be quite tenacious and resourceful, and at the last minute, changing plans or making adjustments, and even being open to some real last minute magic that could deliver some nice surprises and some opportunities that definitely hadn't been in your schedule or something that you had been thinking about. And so we kind of want to move through September with a rough idea of things that we're trying to accomplish and to get done, but also be in a state of almost preparing for all eventualities. And it's that flexibility that's going to really be your best friend through the course of this month. Now, one of the interesting themes that I'm picking up for the month of September across the soul stories is this idea of energy contradiction. And I think we're really going to be given this eye-opening appreciation of where we have been asking and intentionally setting our thought forms towards something that we want, and yet our energy or our actions are contradicting what it is that we're actually saying that we want. And so this kind of mixed messages to the universe is probably going to be highlighted even further when we move into Mercury retrograde in the sign of Libra later this month. But remember, we'll be in shadow from the middle part of September. So you are going to be invited to really be incredibly discerning about the way in which you are really embodying everything that you want, and just getting much clearer about where you're investing yourself and your energy through the course of September, because it's going to make a huge difference on how you actually end this year. This is a time in your solar returns where you have this beautiful moment of reinvention. You're getting to kind of acknowledge some of the changes that have taken place and really harness and invite in that extra sense of confidence and belief within yourself. What we don't want is you to be almost putting yourself in a place where you get too committed to any one thing through the course of September, because we have this really fertile and abundant soil that's kind of beneath you. And even things that perhaps you felt were lost, there's this aspect of September's energy kind of saying, you know what, there is still a possibility for this either to come back to life or to approach it in a different way, or for you to actually have a bit of a silver lining or something happening last minute that brings a sense of success or victory coming in for you. Now, we have a beautiful new moon in your sign, Virgo, coming in on the 6th of the month, and at the same time the Sun is trining Uranus, Mars is trining Pluto, and Venus is trining Jupiter. So wow, it's going to be a gorgeous energy to work with, and it's going to bring about some rapid positive change and perhaps some real opportunity for recognition. Now, Mars is still in your sign, Virgo, at that point as well, and so there is this recognition, and really letting yourself be seen in some capacity is important. There may be even some new ambitious ideas or inspirations that are going to be forming for you around that time, but you might also have a little bit of conflict around some overinflated egos or kind of power games that are playing, because we have quite a stress point happening with Venus squaring Pluto just the day before, so be aware of that as well. Now, through this month, what I really want you to consider as you're looking at this kind of energy contradiction that might be playing out, not just within yourself, but also in the relationships that are around you, because this is going to help you to have a much better idea of where and what response you might need to make. And I suppose I want to say to you, at times, Virgo, through the course of September, no response and no reaction might actually be the braver thing to do in this instance. Your Six of Wands is also suggesting to me that when we can get the right approach, and when we find through experimentation or trying lots of different options and being open to different sorts of solutions, we are actually through this month going to get a breakthrough in some capacity. Now remember, as we sort of move further into the month, it's not a time to necessarily invest with those big life-changing decisions, but it's certainly a time to deeply consider and have that moment of reevaluation and say, okay, I feel like this is going to be right for me, and I want to just take a little bit longer to kind of let it settle and let myself really process what that means. And then as you sort of come out of a lot of these retrograde energies through the course of this year, you're going to be in a place where not only are you kind of aligned in your mental energies, but also with your spiritual, your heart energy. And that's going to make sure again that we don't have that energy contradiction taking place. So here you've got the Knight of Cups coming in, Prince of Cups here. Could be a water sign that you are engaging with in some capacity through September, and it's going to be a meaningful offer or something that's being excuse me, suggested or put on the table. And there is something that's kind of a bit whimsy about this. It's sort of allowing you in some aspect, Virgo, to kind of daydream a little bit and think, wow, like, is that really possible? Is that something that I could really see for myself, or that I can really consider? And I want you to look at the ways in which the universe are actually showing you through people that are turning up on your pathway, ideas that are coming in from your higher self, or certainly those doors that are opening, because there's something here that's being offered to you, and it's as a result of something that you've done, so investment that you've made. Now that might be something that's much more tangible and physical in terms of, you know, something to do professionally or career orientated, or it may even be just work that's happening on the internal. Remember, all of these retrograde planets right now are really inviting that big internal shift to take place. So following that new moon, which is going to be a wonderful sort of jumping off point, it's like a springboard energy, and you're going to be extremely tuned in at that time. Not only is this very sort of psychic intuitive awareness coming from the new moon, we've then got Venus moving into Scorpio on the 10th of the month, and so our whole relationship to our sense of value, you know, love, and the things that we surround ourselves with that makes us feel good about who we are and what we're doing, is really being amplified beautifully under this kind of a energetic conversation that's taking place. Now there are definitely a couple of strong like stress, tense energies that I want you to kind of be aware of through the course of this month, certainly with that Venus squaring Pluto on the 5th, and we also have Venus squaring Saturn on the 17th. So, you know, Venus is really kind of causing that moment of deep reflection within oneself, being put almost like feeling like you're being backed into a corner in some regard. And your Seven of Pentacles to me suggests that there's some aspect of you potentially being a little bit dissatisfied, either in your money story or your relationship story, and it really coming to a head through this month of September. And remember what these retrograde energies do as well, you know, they kind of bring things back up. So if you've been having that repeated conversation that's gone nowhere, you know, it's like the promotion that you were promised, or the commitment that hasn't revealed itself to you yet. So there's this aspect with the Seven of Pentacles here that, you know, harvest time is on its way. Now, of course, the other beautiful energy that we're going to be welcoming through the course of September is the equinox, and that's coming in on the 22nd, and that is a time when you're going to get to rebalance and actually start to karmically see the deliverance of so much of what you've been investing into. Now here's the rub a little bit, Virgo, right? Because where we've had this energy contradiction that has played out, you know, whether it's been in you know, personal or professional aspects of our life, and we've been saying we want one thing and doing another, you know, making all the promises to ourselves and then blindly going back in the same kind of cycles, or actually putting our energy towards the people or the experiences that aren't going to help the deliverance of those goals or those intentions. It's really going to be kind of brought up sharply to you around that time, because Mercury is going to be squaring Pluto. So it's going to be quite an intense equinox, but that makes a beautiful time for release and really acknowledging something. Ahead of that, we also have the full moon in Pisces, of course, your mirror sign in that 7th house of relationships. and it's opposite Mars. It's going to be temperamental. You know, think about the chef in the kitchen or the artist, you know, kind of having one of those dramatic moments. And we have it right at the end of Pisces in the final degree. So its mutability is really amplified. So it's going to be an emotional tour de force moment where there will be revelations. And, you know, okay, we have the Five of Pentacles, perhaps something that we need to deal with that might knock our confidence a little bit, or for a moment make us feel like there's a little bit of a setback. However, what we also have happening on that day, goddess asteroid Vesta, also known as Hestia, moving into the sign of Scorpio. Now, Vesta is that brightest star in the sky, and it really indicates that light within you, the light that's guiding you, and how you can be the custodian of that beautiful inner flame, that soulful space. It's a time for like quiet, meditative, and really bonding with things that feel true and loyal to you. In fact, there's an achingly truthful aspect to Vesta being in Scorpio, and she's going to be here right through till November. So you've got a little bit of time to kind of work with that transit. And you might enjoy actually my goddess reports that I've just recently launched, because we go into a little bit more detail in the goddess energy. So you'll find that in the description box and over on my website as well. So that might be something to get to know a little bit more, the influence of these goddess energies. But here in Scorpio, we're also able to deal with things that are perhaps deeply kind of woven into our shadow aspect. And it's almost like we're able to turn something sinful or something taboo into something incredibly sacred. And it also gives us the ability to sort of deal with really difficult subjects, or perhaps, you know, difficult patterns that we've got going within ourselves or within specific relationship situations. And so even if we do have something that kind of gets riled or unearthed in and around that time, you also have this supportive energy from the universe kind of really coming in and wanting to help you to overcome it and be able to heal something as a result of it. So we invite you through the course of September, Virgo, to almost observe and be the witness of what is going to bring you the most peace of mind. I think this is really important. Like we said, we have this really beautiful, fertile, abundant energy that's around you. And the Ace of Cups here with all of this gorgeous water overflowing. You know, there's emotive exchanges that are taking place all the way through this month for you. And when we talk about this aspect of, you know, the spontaneity of things happening very unexpectedly, it's also kind of opening your heart space and your heart chakra to ever new beautiful levels. And it's what's required. You know, the tenderness, I think, is needed more than ever. Now, you may be able to do all of the things this month, I have no doubt, but can you just focus on one or two of the really important things? And a part of that is in and around that aspect of self-care. You're not meant to be here to rescue people from their own individual experiences through the course of this month. It's a time where if you are receiving energy, if you are receiving things that are not meeting your needs, you have to beautifully, lovingly, tenderly return to sender. Like, this is the month that I want you to do that, because what you're really developing right now is this beautiful spiritual backbone, and that's required so that actually your cup can keep flowing and you don't keep getting displaced and disconnected from yourself because of things that are getting uprooted or changing or happening in and around your pathway. You know, we can't control all of this, and again, it can cause or impact, especially on that energy contradiction that might be happening within us. Okay, so as we move deeper into the month and we welcome that Libra energy, of course it lights out that second house of value and partnerships, and there is going to be a strong emphasis around relationships for all of us through the course of you know, that second part of the month. And your Nine of Pentacles here is suggesting, you know, you're kind of standing alone, you're going it alone, perhaps you even feel a little bit alone in terms of the commitments and the things that you're trying to aspire to achieve for yourself, even if it is something that you know, or indeed you're being driven to do for yourself and your relationship, or your family, or your team within a work environment. There's this aspect of it still being, you know, this is a story between me, myself, and I, and how can you meet yourself in the moment? What support do you need in order to kind of really recognize and celebrate the accomplishments, the successes, and actually to feel more secure and abundant? You know, again, the Nine of Pentacles is talking to me about an incredible resourcefulness, and along with that Magician, this is a time that you can really allow yourself to be seen. There's a sense of your identity, your brand really being elevated. And so the consideration of how that's being put out into the world, and again, making sure there is no contradiction in that, is also going to be really helpful for you. Now, we have this energy of you being able to get over or to cure some sort of addiction or some aspect of something that feels like it constantly ends up in an energy of disappointment. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be revamping our whole relationship to what our expectations are and why we have them. Now, there are times this month, and I'm not going to lie, I think, Virgo, you're going to be really difficult to deal with. But I think that's okay, because when you find yourself coming into that sort of energy, maybe being a little bit stubborn, a little bit difficult, even a little bit belligerent in certain aspects of what's happening, it's an opportunity for you to really get to the bottom of why that energy is being triggered within you. Okay, so it's not a time to be overly critical about it, but it's really going to reveal something exceptionally important about expectations and perhaps the energy dynamic that's existing between you and somebody else. Okay, and again, that might be highlighted quite powerfully around that full moon in Pisces, where you just I don't know, maybe there's an aspect of you feeling a little bit unreasonable, but not really. Or maybe somebody else acting really unreasonable and that projection sort of impacting you. Now here we've got the energy of the Two of Swords, and it links into the sign of Libra. You've got two clear paths here right the way through the forest. Which one are you going to take? There's a moment of indecision here that we have to really sit and to contemplate with. Now again, you know, back to this energy of what's happening at the equinox. We are rebalancing things, and at that moment we have an invitation, because it's a clearance that's going to happen, a karmic rebalancing, whether you're in the northern or the southern hemisphere. And because of that Mercury squaring Pluto at this moment, it's an intense crossroads you're going to find yourself at. You know, and right after it we have Venus opposite Uranus again. So we have this energy of unexpected change. And so perhaps the decisions or choices that you make are not going to be what people expect. But what we do need to say is it is a time for you to really carefully consider before you sign yourself up or commit to something that, you know, in your heart is perhaps just not quite right for you. And I really want you to take the time to do that, because everything is working here to support and advance you and to really give you this fertile and abundant soil so that you can start to really see things coming to fruition in a way that you've been looking for and expecting and anticipating. And there's something about the energy coming in September, and I just don't want you to undo all of that good work, because you kind of either feel put under pressure or somebody kind of makes some sense of an offer or an invitation and you think, well, you know, maybe I could just accept that, maybe that will be okay. Well, it won't be okay. You know, you might allow yourself to kind of sit in that energy and accept it for, you know, a few days or a few weeks. But, you know, months down the line, you're going to be in a regretful state that you hadn't spoken up and really asserted yourself and really understood that's not right for me. It's not what I want, and it's not what I've asked for. And in that moment, I really do have to return to sender and kind of readdress what my needs and wants are. And I think that's going to help you make a more empowered decision in that moment. So interesting crossroads point that's going to happen, I feel, toward that end of September. And again, like we said, be the observer and the witness of your energy, where you're feeling triggered and why that might be happening, because there's this intense aspect of really understanding now what you value more than ever. And the energy of the devil coming in here, because what we want to do is put a focus on where we are overly attaching or feeling tempted into things that activate this issue of control, this issue of addiction. And, you know, this is you capturing the essence of a new life that you want to lead for yourself, Virgo. And so, yes, there might be a short-term sugar rush from someone or something that can kind of be an antidote to what might be a little bit more painfully playing out in the background, but at the same time there's a bigger vision here, there's a greater purpose, and I feel like the commitment to follow through for yourself is what you need more than ever. Now, for some of you, especially if this is a water sign involved here, you know, there's certainly some beautiful romantic liaisons or offers or sweetness coming together, opportunities certainly to have a lot more passion and intensity, I feel, coming up through the month. Remember, of course, the old retrogrades sometimes bring people back from the past. And if it's not with an emphasis around your personal life, then on a professional capacity, we also have an opportunity to do something that we love and to actually make real advancements in terms of financial gain. Okay, so sometimes that devil can come in and really deliver for us if we're focused very deeply and intensely about a specific outcome or goal. And so it's actually something that we can work to harness quite incredibly. Now, what we're also going to be focusing on through this month of September as we work into your solar returns at this beginning of the month is really understanding yourself and how some of the internal shifts that are taking place require some quiet decisions that don't necessarily need to be shared or shouted from the rooftops. Because I have a sense about this aspect of the publicity or the recognition or the outing, the public nature of that Six of Wands, also leading to something where you feel then somehow disappointed or let down or rejected. And so again, I want you to feel into the energy timing of things. And for each and every one of you, it may be different. But if you feel like something isn't quite right in terms of the time to announce or the time to share, then really listen to that so that you don't end up with some of that scrambled communication or confusion that might impact it by way of this retrograde that's coming through. Now, this is the third Mercury retrograde in an air sign. They've all been in air signs this year. And of course, you know, the thing with air energy is it moves very quickly. It wants things to be progressive. It wants new things. It wants openness and the exchange of ideas. And so again, when that retrograde happens, there can be a real sense of impatience because don't slow me down. I want to keep going. I want the new. I want the different. And so you may be feeling into that either because somebody's pressuring you or you have such a desire to want to kind of start new things, and somehow the energy of the universe is pulling you back to say, no, go back over this and get it right. You know, and we have these beautiful trines that are playing out through the month with Saturn in the air signs as well, kind of holding that stabilizing space to actually help you do that. And wouldn't you rather just get that done and make it a permanent, lasting shift rather than kind of abandon something and go try something new because of that feeling of that sort of shiny object? So there's something about, you know, don't be too quick to let go of things and clear out or over clear, you know, if you're going to be having any kind of purge in any aspect, just to make sure that you don't have any regret that might follow in its wake. Okay, so Oracle cards here we have energy attachments, number 13, energy exchange, negative influences, self-sabotage. Well, we also have the devil coming up, so you may well be coming up against something that feels like your own private attachment. Now, yes, it could be a person. Yes, it might be a specific addiction that you've been working diligently to kind of overcome. And there's a little bit of a test that might be thrown up through the course of September in order to help you deal with it. But again, 13 linking into that energy of the card of death in the major arcana shows me that there is an aspect of powerful transformation and change that is happening here. And again, I want to call back into this vibe of us talking about energy contradiction. This is where I think you're going to be able to overcome it, because maybe you have been saying, I'm over this person, or you know, I no longer drink anymore, or you know, I'm really healthy now, or I don't do that, and yet behind the scenes in the background you're still doing those things, you know. So who are you lying to? And remember, Vesta in Scorpio, achingly truthful in her energy, so she's going to call you out as soon as she shifts into gear on that 20th, just coming in around that full moon ahead of the equinox. So you do have an opportunity to really walk your talk and make those meaningful changes for yourself this month, Virgo. Okay, let's take a look at the Astrology Oracle, what it wants to say. Okay, we have yin, intuition, trust, patience, spirituality, and receptivity. And I suppose it really is the beautiful antidote to whatever gets thrown up around those energy attachments. And you have beautiful, supportive spiritual influences, you know, with Venus moving into Scorpio, with Vesta in Scorpio, you know, coming in with that harmonious Libran energy in the equinox to really dig deeper, you know, even with all of this retrograde vibe coming through, and take time to kind of quietly review with yourself, recognize the ways in which you're changing, have openness and patience to knowing that what you've asked for is already done. Now it's your job to just iron out those contradictions. And that magician energy, I think, is going to be working beautifully as well to kind of almost take any of these moments that feel really harsh or difficult and make them become really meaningful. So like we said, the sinful becomes the sacred. I think there's something beautifully powerful about that for you this month, Virgo. Okay, these are the crystal oracles. You can find all of the decks listed in the description box, by the way, if you're interested. So you have pink amethyst, divine love, soul star chakra. It's beautiful. Again, this very loving, harmonious, and tenderness. Remember, we talked about this. More than anything, you really need to be there to meet yourself in the moment. That's what your Ace of Cups energy wants for you more than anything. How can I fill myself back up right now? This is a month that's about me. It's my reinvention. It's my solar returns. It's my time to really allow these changes to take me further than I've ever been, and kind of step up that sense of deep found self-appreciation and love. So I also feel that that's an important, beautiful energy by way of compassion, tolerance, and forgiveness. And so again, if you are feeling split or finding yourselves at a crossroads, you know, do I want to go it alone, or do I want to still remain involved in something that doesn't quite feel right? It's maybe got some control aspect around it that I'm not comfortable with. There's a lot of soothing energy that's going to help you almost like get down to the root of it, you know. And I think that's also where you're going to be able to recognize those moments that you might find that you're being a little bit more difficult or temperamental, and understand where it's coming from and how to heal with it and how to work with it. So it's a really advancing energy and a progressive energy, but of course the retrograde at times may feel like you are going backwards. You are not, Virgo. So this is a general reading for the month of September. If you want to join me for the extended version, what we do is pull some more clarifying cards. We talk for another 20 minutes or so. You can find the link for that in the description box underneath. If you're new to the channel, it's just a way to support my work and get some deeper insight. So I'm going to invite you to just think about a question. Might not have come up in the main spread. Let's go ahead and pull some clarification and see where we are going with that for you. Okay. Right, let's just begin with this energy of the Magician. Really like this for you. Of course, it connects into the energy of Mercury, which is your natural ruler, and the Empress is joining this card. So this very generative, creative, resourceful vibe that's coming in to support you, and the Sun illuminating things, bringing vitality, strength, energy. Okay, Six of Wands and the Tower coming through. Energy of strength. A lot of major arcana showing up here. Okay. There's that just stepping back energy with the Four of Swords. You know, just making sure that you don't rush in. Temperance. There's going to be a time and a place. There's your Death card showing up to link in with that number 13 here, Virgo. Some trust things that are coming up as well. Here we've got Knight of Pentacles, Earth energy showing up around that Five of Pentacles. Interesting message that's coming through there. We'll explore that in the extended. Ace of Wands, High Priestess. Three of Cups, Queen of Wands. Another Ace Ace of Cups showing up here. Another Five of Pentacles. There's some fear around loss here. You know, if I make this decision, what will the cost be? What will I lose out on? Ten of Cups. Maybe that's where that indecision is coming in. Three of Swords. Okay, Hermit energy. Just pull a couple more here, Virgo. Two of Cups, beautiful. Right, thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous solar returns. Hope you enjoyed your soul story. If you're joining me for the extended, thank you for supporting me, and we will continue this conversation there. You take good care of yourselves. Bye for now.